But I'm joined now by GBNews' Home and Security Editor, Mark White. Mark, were you surprised by the Labour announcement?
Well, not really, but he's clearly wanting to set himself apart from the Conservatives, and there's no doubt he has done that. I think the potential difficulty going forward for Labour here is that there is no way on earth that the European Union is going to sign up to a returns agreement unless the UK takes a share of the asylum seekers, the immigrants in the European Union.
Which he's accepted.
And in doing that, of course, you don't have then any real sight of just what it's going to be from year to year. If we look at this year, you talked about Lampedusa. The situation in Lampedusa down on this Italian island is just chronic. They are completely overwhelmed. 8,000 people that have arrived on 160 boats in the past 48 hours. And actually in Italy as a whole, so far this year, 124,000 migrants have come into that country through the Mediterranean route, compared to 65,000 at this point last year. Yeah. So that just shows you from year to year, they can't actually predict what the number they will have to take in is as a quota. We might have a perverse situation where actually in agreeing to this deal with the European Union, we take more in the quota than ever came across in the book.
So we could return people who previously claimed asylum in an EU country, that's what he's saying, but we'd have to take our fair share. And given that Poland are saying no, given that Hungary are saying no, given that Slovakia are saying no, and now Germany, I think, has said enough, this could be a huge number of people.
Well, we've got a huge row erupting within the European Union. The eastern border states, of course, there are very hard line on those coming into their countries. But now you have the situation in Spain, in Greece, in Italy, where they too are thoroughly fed up of all those who are coming in the hundreds of thousands each year. And they're saying enough, but then Germany and France are falling out with Italy, and they don't want to take any more migrants.
Mark, I was a lone voice in 2015 in the European Parliament as they set this policy up, which said that anyone that crossed the Med and landed a foot on EU soil could stay, and I warned them it would be a disaster. But we have our own problems here, don't we? We have our own problems with the Bibi Stockholm, and just down the road, at a place called Wethersfield.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a situation, of course, where there are more than 50,000 people staying in hotels at a cost of almost £7 million a day. Now, the government has got to try to find a solution to that. Their solution is to try to put them in more purpose-built accommodation centres. You can see the logic in that, except when you happen to be in the community where they're putting, in the case of Wethersfield, 1,700 young men. Yeah. Now, what I've been told about Wethersfield so far is there's less than 200 people there, but already people in the local area are starting to notice issues around criminality in the villages, in the small towns and villages around that base. There are 20 people, we think, just in the last couple of weeks who've just wandered off from the base, never bothered coming back.
Absconded.
There was an incident in the last week where one young man set himself on fire there. So some real concerns, and you can understand people in a local area being very worried about the potential eventual prospect of 1,700 bored young men wandering about, really not knowing what to do with themselves. And even though the vast majority might be good and well behaved, it only takes a small proportion.
This is feeding through.
Trouble.
This is feeding through. We have some polling out overnight by People Polling, organised by Professor Matthew Goodwin. And one of the questions was, in your view, has immigration to Britain in recent years made the crime situation in the country better, worse, or made no difference? Better, 1%. Worse, 45%. The rest, no difference, don't know. So it seems, Mark, there is a growing perception that of those young men that are crossing the English Channel, there are some, perhaps too many, with bad intentions.
Yeah, there's a couple of issues there. With regard to those coming to the UK from other countries and their propensity for getting involved in criminality, well, we know there are 11,000 foreign national offenders in our prisons at the moment. Add to that an issue of not knowing, actually, when people are coming into this country, exactly who they are, because they're schooled by the people smugglers. Throw away your passport, your credit cards, your mobile phones, anything that can identify you. And for the most part, these asylum seeker assessors, border force officials, the police have no idea who's coming across our borders and what potential threat they might pose.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark White, doing a great job for GB News. You really are. Thank you.